Hello, sir.
Yeah,
Anurag,
yeah.
sir. Yeah, sir. Most welcome, sir. I welcome all participants to this international webinar hosted by BLA College of Pharmacy. We are very much happy to have Anurag Srivastava online as a resource person. He's a very good researcher at University of Turin in Italy. And I request Ravindra Kulkarni to read his biodata if possible. And I request after the biodata reading to Srivastava to continue with his talk. Ravi, are you online? Please unmute your mic.
I think, sir, there is some technical glitch. I will start with my presentation. It's already too late.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Yeah. What? You must grant permission in order to share a screen. What is the problem now?
Srivastava sir, we are hearing you. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm trying to share the screen. Now it is creating a problem. You must grant the permission. What the hell is going wrong?
So you just click
You
on the
must
project.
grant permission in order to share the screen. So yeah, how to grant the permission? I don't know. I already tested it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Present now. Is it not working?
No, there is some problem. I'm not able to. There's some problem. Share. What is this? Why I can't share my screen? This is irritating me. Oh. This is seriously. Setting video. Definition. Okay, done. Share. Lock temporary share screen. No. Finally. Can you guys see the screen?
Yeah, is my voice audible?
Yeah. Can you guys see the screen?
No, not yet.
Yes. Yes, Anurag. Yes, we can see.
Yeah, we can screen. Yeah, we can see. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Please, with patience, please, Anurag, you can proceed for your talk. Is my voice audible?
Yeah. I'm audible now, so I'm gonna start now.
Yeah, please, without glitches, you start now. Will not make any further late. Please start, Anurag. I apologize.
Too much of
Apologize.
yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, please start.
it's fine, but it's all new, so it's too much of technical glitches.
Yeah.
So I would like to thank Kotnali sir, the principal of the college, for inviting me for this lecture where I would be talking about the novel coronavirus, COVID-19. Before starting about the coronavirus, I would like to give you a little bit about the basic classification of the viruses. The viruses are classified based on the genomic material. So whether it's a DNA virus, whether it is DNA virus or RNA virus. So in the DNA virus, there is a double-strand DNA virus, which is the best example is the adenovirus, which causes common cold. Then there is a single-strand DNA virus. Then there is a double-strand RNA virus. And then we have positive single-strand RNA virus in which coronavirus comes in. And please keep in mind that also the influenza virus also comes into the positive single-strand RNA virus. Then we have a negative single-strand RNA virus, single-strand RNA reverse transcriptase virus, in which retrovirus is the major virus, and the disease it causes is HIV. And then the last but not the least is single-strand DNA reverse transcriptase virus. Now I will move to the our topic of interest, which is coronavirus. So coronavirus is classified into the four classes: alpha, beta, gamma, and delta. Alpha and beta can infect they infect mammals, and mammals becomes their is the primary source, natural host. And then they can also these mammals these coronaviruses can also jump from the natural host to human, and in human it has been reported to cause a respiratory infection and gastrointestinal infection in the animals. And beta family is the most dangerous family among all for the human. In case of gamma and delta virus, they infect birds mostly, and it was first reported in 1930s, and in 1960 the first human beta virus was reported, which was a very mild cold kind of a virus. But in 2002 2003 we saw the first major outbreak of coronavirus, which could be a deadly virus. That was the example was SARS-CoV-1 in 2003, which happened in China, and after that the MERS-CoV. So now we as I already explained, so normally the natural host for most of the coronaviruses is bat, and even in the bat, Rhinolophus species of bats are known to be the reservoir for coronavirus, which mostly infects the human, which has been found to be spillover. So in 2003, it was the palm civets which were the intermediate host, and in 2012, in the MERS, camels were the intermediate host. For this 2019 coronavirus, the intermediate host is a debatable stuff, whether it is a pangolin or it's a civet or some other organism. So this is how, if we talk about the origin of the current SARS coronavirus, so it has jumped from bat to an intermediate host, and from there it has gone to the human, and from human it has gone to the human, like the community transmission has led to the various cases. Now I will try to give a small comparison with three deadly diseases coronavirus has caused. The first one is the SARS coronavirus, which originated in China in 2002 and 2003, which affected around 8,000 people globally, and it had a mortality rate of 10%. And its human-to-human infection was mild, and that is why it died its natural death, and it never came back again. The second kind of coronavirus is was MERS, Middle Eastern Respiratory Syndrome coronavirus. It happened in 2012, and the origin was in the Middle East, and it infected just 2,500 people globally because it had a very low to negligible human-to-human. So the cases reported were directly Can you please switch off the microphone?
Hello.
Can you please all put the microphone on mute so that I can focus on the presentation? Okay. So So in the MERS coronavirus, we see that the transmission was mostly from the camel to the human, not human to human. And then we see the SARS coronavirus, in which it has already infected around 4.9 million people globally, and more than 300,000 people have died. And this virus is very infectious. It is even infectious when the person is asymptomatic. So what it tells about the nature, it is a very interesting thing that whenever a virus, which is a very deadly virus, what we have seen in past also, that whenever a virus is deadly, the human to human transmission is very low, until unless it is in very close contact, be it well, be it Ebola, be it Zika, or be it the MERS-CoV, which had a mortality of 36%. But when you have a low mortality rate, then the infection is more. So it is a kind of a nature which balances it out. So now we will see a little bit about the biology of the SARS-CoV virus. So if you see here, the structure here, which resemble like a crown, and the name is given based on this most important protein, which is the spike protein, which gives it like a structure of a crown. And then we have some membrane protein, and there is some envelope protein. Then we also have something called nucleocapsid protein, which is a kind of a shield to the RNA dependent RNA polymerase. Or so this is how the structure looks like. When the coronavirus infect human being, the spike protein binds to the ACE2 receptor, and this ACE2 receptor is abundantly present in our nasal cells. That's why the mode of infection, the route of infection is through the nasal way, and inside that it goes once it binds to the ACE2 receptor, it is cleaved by the membrane serine protease TMP RSS2. It's an enzyme which facilitate the viral entry. When I say viral entry, it means that the genetic information is being inserted in the cell. I will be talking about the life cycle of the coronavirus in detail in my later slides, so don't worry about that. I will be speaking about that part also. And from the time the coronavirus has started, what we have seen in general is a rapid spike in two terminology: vaccine, immunology, immune response, all these things. So I thought it will be better if I start giving a basic basic concepts of immunology. Most of you are from pharmacy department and medical science department, so I think you guys have understanding. But those who are from non-biology background, I will try to explain it in very simple terms. So when we talk about the immune response, so in all kind of organism, we have a immune response or a defense mechanism which protect us from various kind of infections, whether we speak about a bacteria or we speak about a human being. Even in bacteria, which is susceptible to viral infections, they also have an immune response, not like a proper immune response, but they also have a defense mechanism which can eliminate the viruses. So that based on those idea, the immune system can be classified into two ways. One is called innate immune system, other is called adaptive immune system. In innate immune system, what is there, that it do a certain kind of recognition. It follows a pattern receptor recognition. Mostly that is what it is done. And so and in innate immunity, there are many cells which are involved, and these cells are like phagocytes, dendritic cells, NK cells, and these are the key players which activate the adaptive immune system. So if I have to give an analogy to explain the innate and adaptive immune system, so all the students who joined the university, joined the college, in the first year, it was very easy for them to give a proxy for their friends, because at that time, teacher doesn't recognize you and they just hear the voice and they're like, okay, yeah, if someone is saying yes, he or she would have been present. It's like they're just focusing on the pattern. Okay, this kind of word, okay, this guy could be there. So that is how innate certain kind of pattern, and the bacteria and viruses are so much clever that they can sometimes fool these immune system and go inside the cell. Even then, the innate immunity acts on it, triggering a bell that there is some intruder which has gone inside our body. Please take care. Then the adaptive immune system comes into the picture. And if you see the moment you have an infection, within 12 hours, all the innate cells start the activity to eliminate it out. If it doesn't happen, then the adaptive will come into the play. The both work in a sync. And in the adaptive immune system, it recognizes based on a very specific thing, which will be like, if it is a RNA virus, it will be checking only on that particular some kind of a sequence. So if I will take the analogy further, it is easy to fake your attendance in the classroom, but it is very difficult to fake your attendance in an examination hall, because all the documents are checked properly. So here, once you have an adaptive immune response which starts against the any kind of pathogen, then it takes some time. And adaptive immune system and the other basic difference is innate immune system. Once, so if you see here, I will come to the comparison again. So if you see here, the first time you have the immune an antigen or a foreign particle, it elicit a response which will be a very small response, but in that time it will create some memory cell, and that will remember that particular pathogen or particular antigen. So the next time that guy comes in, you will have a very speedy response, as well as the peak will be almost double. So if I take the analogy further, so a student who has just joined the university would not be recognized by a professor, but after studying in the university, he would be easily recognized by the professor. So when he comes back, they will be able to recognize him. So that's what the secondary response is concerned. And now I was talking about the another difference between innate and adaptive. What happened with innate is, in innate immune system, you don't have something called to make some kind of memory cell, and these memory cells are made with the rearrangement in the gene segment. So that is the very unique feature of adaptive immune system, that it make the memory cells, whether it's a B cell or it's a T cell. And this is the basic principle which is being exploited in the vaccine and immunization program, where you infect a healthy individual with attenuated or a low virulent strain of bacteria and virus, and that will elicit some kind of immune response, and that will make some memory cells, and then it will be ready when the real pathogen will infect, then it is ready to fight it out. So that is what innate and adaptive immune system is all about. Then we have been then when we talk about the immunity, this could be classified into two ways, but one is called active immunity and other is called passive immunity. And active immunity is the one when a person is being infected and he recovered from that infection. The moment he will recover, he will generate some kind of antibodies, and that will be present as a memory. When the next time the infection will come in, they will be able to fight with those memory cells. The passive immunity is basically the immunity which is being obtained from someone else. Like a person is being infected, what we are seeing in the convalescent plasma therapy, that when a person who is being cured from COVID-19, his plasma is being taken to collect the antibodies and give it to the patients who are critically ill. So they will just accept this thing, they will get cured, but they will not have any kind of long-term memory. If I take my analogy of college and students, a student who is writing the examination, a student who is writing the examination and just copying the answer from a student who is a topper, who is sitting in front of him and he is just copying all the answers. For sure, he will get a good marks. But once he comes out of the examination hall, it will be very difficult for him to remember what he wrote actually. But when he prepare for an examination and then he write the examination, and there he will pass, and once he pass that examination, he will always remember that, okay, these were the question and I answered like this, because here he has put some effort, that is like active, and in that case he was just a passive receiver. So this is about the active and passive immunity. Now I will go into a little bit detail about the how our body fight against the virus when a virus infect you. As I spoke about this basic thing in the innate immunity, that it works on the pattern recognition receptors, and one of the most common player in this is a receptor called toll-like receptor, which can easily read the single strand RNA, positive single strand RNA virus. So the moment it will read that, okay, there is a single strand RNA, it will activate a gene called interferon and its associated gene, and then that will go into the antiviral state. And here, if you see, I'm not going into the detail of this signaling pathway, but if you see here, once the interferon 1 has been produced, it will lead to the cascade of a lot of signaling pathways, which will lead to the destruction if either it will lead to the degradation of the viral RNA, or it will inhibit the viral gene expression, or it will inhibit the viral protein synthesis, and that is called the inhibition, that is called the interferon induced response against the virus. One of the recent report which has come out, which suggests that COVID-19, as we are talking about the asymptomatic carriers, one of the reason is that the interferon response is very low in COVID-19 patients compared to the patient who is infected with the influenza virus. So I'm not going to go into that detail. I just wanted to share that information. Now I will try to go into the basic pharmacology in SARS-CoV-2. That what are the places where we can use some interjection or some kind of therapy to treat the coronavirus. So here I will take you to the life cycle of the SARS coronavirus in the host cell. So the moment the coronavirus binds to the ACE2 receptor and get cleaved by this TKM-PPS serine protease, it leads to the viral entry. The moment it enters inside the cell, the endosome encapsulate it, and one of the key player could be a hydroxychloroquine, which can inhibit the endosomal completion, like endosomal maturation. It can inhibit. Okay, so that could be one of the key player. Now, once the endosome has encapsulated it and the maturation has been done, now the virus will release its genetic material inside, and using our ribosome, it will start doing the translation of the translation of the viral RNA, and these they will make some polypeptide chains, and that will lead to the formation of the RNA dependent RNA polymerase, and that will again lead to the resynthesis of the RNA and the packaging, and then the virion will be released from the cells to infect another cell. Now, here we can have a protease inhibitor like lopasavir, which can inhibit the protease and thus stopping the complete pathway. Or we can use something like remdesivir, which can inhibit the RNA-dependent RNA polymerase. Now, and hydroxychloroquine is being too much talked about in the past few months, but it's a very old drug and it has never been known to have some prophylactic agents or even modulate the virus synthesis or some kind of a thing. And this all started with this study in which they found that administering hydroxychloroquine on critically ill patient gave some result. And then the world leader like Donald Trump, he tweeted out that we have a miraculous drug which can cure us from this coronavirus disease. The problem with this was that the number of patients which were administered this drug was just 28. Yeah.
Anurag,
Yeah.
probably we got delinked with your PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah.
Could you share a PPT?
I'm sharing the PPT. Can't you see the PPT?
Yeah, now I think we lost the link with your PPT share.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, let me see. Your screen is still visible to others. Click cancel your presentation. Resume your presentation. Okay. Okay, present now. Can you see it now? Hello? Hello?
Okay.
Okay.
Sir, we can see now.
Visible, sir.
Okay. So where you guys lost in the path? Did you see the pathway or not? Ravi sir,
Yeah.
did you see the pathway or not?
No, I missed it. That PPT slide. And one more thing, please, all the participants, mute your mic system. Some of you have kept your mobile phone along with the TV.
Okay, so
Mr.
where you guys lost me?
Mr. Samip Sonowani, please mute your mic system. How difficult it's to listen you. Mr. Samip Sonowani, could you listen? Mr. Samip and Shant Kumar Biradar, sir, please mute your mic system. Samip Sonowani. Otherwise, you can remove him if at all he is not responding better.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Yeah, please continue, Anurag.
Where you lost it? Where you guys lost it? Like
my internet connectivity, I lost it, so probably a little delayed it. I don't know other people. From
first
mechanism,
slide
you can. Okay.
mechanism
You can
of
start from your pathways.
No.
okay, this the life cycle. It
Yeah,
is it is
probably.
it is
Even
yeah,
now,
I
I'm
think
unable to see the screen.
again.
Yeah,
Okay.
Ravi sir, at a time you cannot see both
yeah.
his photo. One you can have it.
Yeah. Now can you see it?
Pardon me, sir. Others, can anybody see the screen?
Yes, yes, Ravi, I can see.
Yeah,
Life cycle of
PPT.
SARS.
Okay.
Yeah, you can proceed. Proceed, Anurag. Now I think others are seeing. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Slideshow is visible or it's not visible, the slideshow?
Slideshow is not visible, sir. Slideshow is not visible. Now it is okay.
Now you can see the slideshow?
Yes, sir. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Apologize, Anurag, for
Yeah,
intervening
no
here.
problem, sir. You don't have to apologize. I can understand this thing. I was
Yeah.
in flow. I didn't. Okay, no
Yeah, no
problem.
issues. Yeah.
So, okay. So again, I will explain this pathway. So once the coronavirus binds to the ACE2 receptor with the spike protein, so the binding is with the spike protein, and then the spike protein, it is cleaved by the serine protease, which I mentioned earlier, and then the virus enter inside the cell. So here we can have the first stage, which could be a ACE2 antibodies, which can inhibit the viral viral host interaction completely. So that is one stage of intervention. The second stage is once the viral particle has entered inside the cell, the endosome will encapsulate it, and then the maturation will happen, and that will lead to the release of the genomic material. And this viral RNA will use our ribosome to do the protein synthesis, and that will lead to the making of the RNA dependent RNA polymerase. This RNA dependent RNA polymerase will insert the RNA and start the RNA synthesis to do the packaging, and then with the help of Golgi complex and the ER, and this packaging will lead to the virion release. So we have another intervention which we can do is that endosomal, when the endosome is maturing, we can use the hydroxychloroquine, which has been known to do the inhibition of lysosome and endosome maturation. So that we can use then another place we can use, that is the protease inhibitor. When the viral polypeptide is being created and then it is being converted to the RNA dependent polymerase, we can use that kind of drug, and this could be lopamivir. And then we have another kind of drug which is remdesivir, which can block the RNA dependent polymerase itself, leading to the complete blockage of this virion release. In the past few months, hydroxychloroquine is the one of the thing which has been most talked about. And but in the case of hydroxychloroquine, we don't know. It's a very old drug, and till now there is no information. Sorry. Yeah, there is no information in scientific literature which suggests that it has a prophylactic it can act as a prophylactic agent, or it even modulates some kind of viral synthesis of the genomic material. So this whole hue cry started because in Feb end or March first week, I think this paper came in. Hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin treats the coronavirus. But and the paper was quoted by none other than Donald Trump, that we have a miraculous drug to cure our disease. But the problem with this study was that first, it was a non-randomized study. Second, the number of patients enrolled in this study was just 28, which in any way cannot be taken on the face value. And when it came out, and when I went through these papers, I said that we need larger sample set and randomized double-blind clinical trial. Then last week, there are two papers which have come out from US, where they administered this hydroxychloroquine not in a randomized way, but in a non-randomized way in the critically ill patient. Uh, uh, and some were given the medicine, some were given the placebo kind of a thing. And then here in NAGM study, they included 1376 patients, and in JAMA study, they included around 1400 patients with all the combination. With hydroxychloroquine, with the combination with the azithromycin, and in some cases just azithromycin, or in some cases neither of the drugs. If you see the recovery, especially in the paper coming from the JAMA, you will see that the patient receiving the no drug or the hydroxychloroquine have the same recovery rate. So there is no statistical significance. So we can now safely say that hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin are not effective in larger sample. And still these papers have advocated that before discarding this option, we should do a randomized double-blind clinical trial. So let's see what happened next. Then we come to the type of drugs for viral therapy, because there is a kind of misconception that there is something called antiviral drug like antibiotics. So antibiotic is a drug which can kill a bacteria, but there is no drug which can as such kill the viruses. In the history of the medicine and the virology research, there is no drug. There are drugs which are known as the antiviral chemotherapeutic intervention, which can inhibit which can stop the genomic translation or replication at certain stage, which can so these things are defined in three different way. One is mutagenic nucleoside, of which ribavirin is considered to be one of the best drug. It increases around 10-fold high mutation rate in the virus, which lead to the wrong assembly and ultimately leading to the non-responsive, non-virulent viruses, something like that. And it has been used in the polio diseases. And the second kind of drug is called the obligate chain terminator. The best example of that is azidothiamidine. It lacks the it is so all these all three kinds are somewhere analog of nucleosides, because in everyone knows that when a DNA or a RNA is being either replicated or transcribed, they need the four common nucleoside and nucleotide, that is adenine, guanine, thymine, uracil, or cytosine. So all these are somewhere the analog of these things. And since it lacks the 3' OH group, and if you remember from the basic molecular biology concept, in order to proceed the chain elongation, you need the at 3' compulsory hydroxyl group. Since it doesn't have a hydroxyl group, once it go and bind in the RNA or DNA, what happen is it leads to the termination. Then we have something called delayed chain terminator, and in this category the drug remdesivir enters. So what it does, it blocks the transcription despite having a 3' OH group. How does it do that? Because it has a structure very similar to ATP, but it is not actually a ATP. So this way it misguides the viral particle and get inserted in the RNA. Even it has a 3' OH group, it doesn't lead to the proper synthesis of the RNA. So as I said, that remdesivir triphosphate is an analog of ATP. So this what I'm showing, it is a pure, it is the compound which is in the final stage go to inhibit the RNA dependent RNA polymerase. As you see the structure, there is a very slight difference. At the 1' there is a azide group, and then the nitrogen here has been moved to here, so there is a little bit structural difference, but it is more than enough to be recognized by the RNA dependent RNA polymerase while doing the synthesis of RNA. So here we see the structure of RNA dependent polymerase, and this is the lead molecule of remdesivir, which go and binds here. But now I will go into the mechanism of remdesivir and how does it bind, how does it go inside the cell. When we talk about this is what we know, that if we give a drug which is analog of any of the nucleotides, we will be able to reach the we will be able to get the result quickly. But the problem with the nucleosides is, if you see it here, the problem is that the permeability of the proper nucleoside analog is very low from the extracellular to the intracellular, because once you administer a drug, it has to go inside the cell to inhibit the transcription process. So in order to do that, the drug has to go inside the cell, and since it has a very poor permeability, what it does, that then it takes too much time. But when we talk about remdesivir, which is a pro drug, and here we add some other like monophosphate group is added here. Yeah, pro monophosphate, some kind of additional group we add in this nucleoside, which increase the permeability of this molecule to go inside the cell. Once it is inside the cell, it is being converted to by esterase, which leads to the formation of, after few steps, it leads to the formation of alanine metabolite, and which with the help of phosphoramidase get converted to nucleoside monophosphate, and which again in subsequent steps get converted to nucleoside triphosphate, which resemble the ATP, and this will go and bind to the RNA dependent RNA polymerase, and it will inhibit it. So this is the whole procedure. And now there have been certain studies which have been carried out, and when I talk about remdesivir, we need to understand how it got into the development. The development started to fight the Ebola virus, and it was being administered to the Ebola virus patient, but the clinical trial was stopped because the efficiency of this drug compared to the antibody treatment was not that good. Antibody was showing a better result, and this was not showing the result. So what they did, they continued this research of remdesivir in various other coronavirus diseases. Like they had already done some testing on the MERS coronavirus or SARS coronavirus 1, and in vitro and in vivo condition, they found that this drug was able to inhibit remdesivir, and that is why it got a green signal when the coronavirus pandemic happened. And with the new results coming in, which Dr. Anthony Fauci himself announced, that when the remdesivir was given to the patients, compared to the patients who are not administered remdesivir, they found that the 31% there is a 31% better improvement in the patient who have been administered remdesivir. So that is how the remdesivir is going into the phase 3 clinical trial. I would like to quote from one study that this is the RNA synthesis happening, and when you give the ATP or remdesivir triosphosphate, it will go and bind at this position, but the termination will not happen here, as it is a delayed terminator. It will happen at I plus, wherever it will bind, it will happen after I plus 3. And if in this cells, if you provide a high influx of the nucleotides, then there will be a competition between this remdesivir impact and the other and the ATP, and that will lead to the revival of these RNA synthesis. So this was recently published in a paper, and I've just taken it from that paper, and that is what it say, that termination of RNA synthesis can be overcome by higher concentration of the natural nucleotide pools. So that's the condition. So this is a good sign, and this is the random the clinical trial which is going across the globe. So these are the places which are having the clinical trial across the globe, and we hope that the results comes out to be good. There are currently there are 2 or 3 challenges which we have if it gets the final approval. Right now, the FDA has given the approval to administer it on the critically ill patient, but if it get the final approval, because as you all know that remdesivir can be administered only in the way of intravenous with the intravenous injection, and it is not available right now in the oral form. So they are checking it out whether it can be the oral formulation can be made or not, because oral is always better compared to the it is easy to take by the patients than the intravenous. And other thing is whether this company Gilead has the ability to produce this much large amount of drugs which can be consumed by the whole world. So that's there are 2. So upscaling is a problem. Scale up is a issue, and the second issue is the mode of administration. I checked yesterday the clinical trial website, and to find out how many coronavirus drugs are being under the clinical trial. So if you see, there are already 32 studies. One of them is the hydroxychloroquine, and there are other drugs also, but the most prominent of them are remdesivir, and we should be hopeful that this drug should be able to give us some kind of results. Now I will move to another part of the story related with the coronavirus, which I started with the immune system and immune response. So last week, I think in Indian media there was a big hue and cry that Italy has made the first coronavirus vaccine, and this was by the Rahul Shivshankar of Times Now, who gave a very strong speech. Oh wow, we have a vaccine which can neutralize the coronavirus cells, and all these things were said. But is it really true? So the thing is, the vaccine development takes a long time, and if we look into the history of vaccine development, only Ebola virus vaccine was developed in less than 5 years. Apart from that, all other vaccines have taken more than 10 years. Since all the scientific community is already working on this field, and we are already in phase 2, phase 3 clinical trial, so we expect that the vaccine will be available maybe in 12 months or 12 to 18 months. But why does vaccine take such a long time? So I thought that I will give a brief about the vaccine development. So the vaccine development has basically 3 stages. The first stage is called the exploratory phase, where where the scientists, they explore all the kind of antigens which could be used as a candidate vaccine. For example, whether it's a spike protein, whether it's a membrane protein, whether it's a glycoprotein from the coronavirus, and then they will try out these things. So this takes at least 2 to 3 years to get it done, but people have done it at extra speed and have crossed this stage. Then comes the preclinical testing, and here the candidate vaccine is being tested on the cell culture, tissue culture. Then once we have a satisfactory result, they go to the non-primate model, that is mice, hamster, rat, etc. And once there also we have a strong results, we go to the animal models, which is primates, which are our ancestors. Here I would like to give a analogy which I think you guys can relate in the time of lockdown. What I am seeing, everyone is doing cooking. Everyone in some way or other way doing cooking. So they are like, some of them have never done cooking, so they are in the exploratory phase. So they are just exploring that whether they are able to cook or not. And then once they find that, okay, I'm a good cook, I can make some food and some stuff. So then they will go to the preclinical testing. And what does it means? If I take that analogy further, so the cell or tissue culture. So first they will once they understand, okay, they can cook in a better way. So they will invite, they will ask their family member to test the food, because whenever we do something for the first time, the first recipient is always our family member. So they will test the food. They will say, yeah, the food is good. Then you need some mice model, and mice model will be none other than your good friends who are very close to you. So they will be the mice model. They will test the food and they're like, yeah, it tastes good, you can continue further. And then they will go on to invite some more friends who are not very close but distant. So why I'm giving this analogy, because in the lockdown phase everyone is doing the cooking, but how many of us will come out and become a professional chef? The answer will be very few. And this is what happens from the exploratory phase toward the preclinical testing. What happened, around 70% of them get rejected. This phase is to test the efficacy, the safety, and understand the cellular response. So like when you infect a mice with a candidate vaccine, how the body is responding to this foreign element. So these kind of thing will help you understand how it will go on to react in human cell, in human being also. Then comes the clinical trial, which could be divided into 3 phases: phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So in the phase 1, we take small group of people, like 50 to 60 people, or sometimes even less. This is just to test the safety, whether the drug which we are, whether the vaccine which we are gonna use is safe or not. So that's why you use a very small number of healthy people to see the safety. In the second phase, we enroll large number of people to assess the safety, immunogenicity, and vaccine doses. Like now we will go for, once the safety is assessed, we will go for the what will be the doses, like whether we have to administer once in a week, once in a month, once in a year. These kind of things will be assessed here. And then comes the third phase, where we will enroll 1,000 to 10,000 of people. It will be randomized and double blind. Double blind means that the patients will be given the placebo, and they don't know whether they are receiving a placebo or they are receiving a original vaccine. And even the doctors who are administering these vaccines, they will be also blinded from this thing, so that the data which we receive is a statistically significant and a rigorous data. And here we check all the vaccine efficacy and safety of vaccine in a large group of people, because after this the vaccine will be approved for the general public use, and once it is approved, let's say for coronavirus, it is gonna be used by more than 1 billion people in the world. And if it doesn't fit any of these criteria, it will have a long lasting impact which could be fatal to the overall vaccine development, and as well as it would give rise to more voices in the anti-vaccine community. So I will take my analogy of the uh, people cooking in the in this lockdown. So there will be very few people who would like to continue and invite around 20 people or 30 people from the office to come and taste the food what they are making. I don't think there will be very few people. Even if they do that and they get very high praise, so then there will be again very few people who will be going for large group of people to invite and make a community dinner or something like that. And then if that goes well, then they can think of, okay, maybe I can start a small restaurant and then see if it works well. And if that also certified, then they can go and become a chef after this lockdown gets over. So yeah, that was my analogy. Now I will come back to this. Yeah, I will come back to this. Italy made the first coronavirus vaccine. So where this vaccine stands right now. So this is the company Takis. It stands, the list which I have retrieved is from 15th of May, and it stands on preclinical trial. It has not even reached to the clinical trial phasing. So the claim was, I would say, preposterous, and it should not have been made in that way. There are many people who are working on the vaccine, so let's hope. There are already 110 candidates in the preclinical evaluation, and there are in total 8 candidate vaccine which is in the clinical evaluation. And the most talked about vaccine is the University of Oxford vaccine, which I will cover in this lecture, what the vaccine is and what is the current result, because the result have been published from the preclinical studies just 2 days before. But yesterday, another interesting thing happened, that the Moderna vaccine came out with the result of clinical trial phase 1. And they have the phase 1 results with them, which is being advertised, and they are already into the phase 2 level, and they are planning with this strong positive results. So this is what the vaccine results came out, that Moderna say that initial people in this was with the coronavirus vaccine, which is RNA based vaccine. It means that they are not giving any kind of protein or something. They are just encapsulating the RNA of the coronavirus in a less virulent form, and then administering the patient. And what they have found with this result is that the antibodies produced in these patients, when they were collected and these antibodies were used against the human cells in the Petri plate infected with the coronavirus, these cells were able to recover from this coronavirus. And the second thing they did was they checked the titer level of the patients who tested positive but now have recovered. So their antibody titer level, and the patients, the healthy patients which were given the Moderna coronavirus vaccine, their titer level were almost same, which suggests a very strong result. And if this results turn out to be true, they are planning to start the phase 3 clinical trial by enrolling thousands and thousands of people by July. And if everything goes well, we will have the vaccine by the end of the year or maximum by next year in the mid. Now I will go to the, so this is a very promising result. Now I will move to the University of Oxford vaccine. vaccine, which has made a lot of news because it is already in the phase 2 clinical trial. We don't have results from the the human trial. So I will explain this they have made this vaccine. What they have done, they have taken the adenovirus from the chimpanzee. They have modified it so that it is unable to cause any kind of disease in human, and they have used this as a vector. Then they have taken this spike protein from the coronavirus, and then they just cut it out this gene, done the sequencing, and put it inside the chimpanzee adenovirus, and this they named chimpanzee adenovirus Oxford 1 and novel coronavirus vaccine. What they are expecting is they are expecting that they will inject this to the healthy people. They will be able to produce the antibodies against these spike proteins, since they have used the spike protein, and when they get infected with the coronavirus, they will be able to eliminate it out. 2 days before they published they have not published it, they have put the results into the preprint server of bioRxiv, and there they speak about that their vaccine was able to prevent the pneumonia in the rhesus monkeys. When you see it on the face value, this result look really promising, because what they found that what they did here is they took around eight rhesus monkeys, and they injected them with the vaccine, and then there were remaining 3 or 4 monkeys which were not injected with the vaccine, and then they were challenged with the coronavirus. And after this, they checked the lung swab. They checked from the lungs tissues as well as from the nozzle, and what they found that in the lungs, the monkeys given with the with this vaccine were able to clear out all the were able to clear out all the coronavirus vaccine, which was not the case in the case of the monkeys which were not administered the coronavirus vaccine. So this sounds a very positive result, but there's a catch here. When they check it out, they also found that the coronavirus was still present in the nasopharyngeal area, that is the upper respiratory tract. It could be because of any reason, but this is a kind of a concern, and we hope that this concern gets sorted out when we get the result of the clinical trial, because already Serum Institute already making around 10 to 20 million of this vaccine, and hopefully this results comes out to be true, a very positive results. So yeah, this is about the vaccine. Then I will speak on the BCG, because we Indians have been very much making noise that, oh, we have the BCG vaccine, so we will be able to fight away this coronavirus. And these preprint papers, when they came out, they said that BCG vaccines, the countries which had a universal BCG program, they have a very low mortality rate. But when you go through this paper, you will find a very significant place missing, which is Germany, because if they include Germany, their whole model will fail. And this is more like an association-based study. We need the evidence-based study to do the clinical trial and then state whether whether this hypothesis is true or not. And finally, in Australia and in Greece, they are doing the clinical trial in the medical profession, and in India, JNU Professor Govardhan Das has started a clinical trial of 6,000 patients in Pune with the BCG, and so we need to wait for those results also. Now I will talk about something which is which, since I was in a country which was badly hit, so people were calling me at all the odd hours. So I studied a lot about this and tried to understand why Italy became the major epicenter for this pandemic. Many people say that Florence Mayor started a campaign called Hug a Chinese campaign, and that led to this whole catastrophe. The answer is not that. The answer lies somewhere in between, because Italy was the first country in European Union to ban all the flights from China on 30th of January. And then the first point is missing patient zero. What happened was that the first patient reported in Italy was in Rome around the last week of January, and after that they stopped all the flights. But in the northern Italy, which is the region, the worst affected region was the Lombardy region. In that region, there was a small city. In that city, a guy was complaining about that he has some influenza-like symptom. He went to the doctors. They advised him to take paracetamol and take some rest. So he was like, okay, I will take the drug and I will be okay. And in the next 1 week, he met a lot of people. He went to a lot of parties, and suddenly his health got deteriorated, and then he has to be admitted into the ICU. And then he was tested positive, and he was called the patient one. But he had no travel history. He had no contact with a person who has come from China. So the epidemiologist in Italy coined this thing that what we are saying that this guy is a patient one was actually could be patient 200 or patient 400. So there was the Italy was never able to find the actual source who was the patient zero. Then what I call as the people stupidity. When this thing happened, Italian Prime Minister ordered that city that you should go into the complete lockdown, like you should restrict your border from other cities in Italy, and also try to close down all the restaurants and bar and pub where large number of gathering is happening. But the mayor was from a different party, and due to the politics, he was like, no, 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 we have done all the things right. We are not going to follow this dictatorial order. And he asked all the people to come for different kind of parties. And in most of the parties he was seen, he used to put those pictures on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. But yeah, after 6 or 7 days, he tweeted at guys, please take this disease seriously. I am being infected with the coronavirus. So this is a part of a people's stupidity. The second part in the people's stupidity is when the government realized that it has spread like a wildfire in the northern Italy, they closed all the university and schools in the northern Italy region. When they did it, all the students thought that this is like a big holiday. So on the weekend, they all went out for skiing or on the beach, and they carried the virus with them. They came back home, and Italy has a very similar culture like India, where all three generations, grandfather, father, and the son, all three generations lives under the one roof. They came back and they infected their family member, which led to a lot of mortality, because Italy has a very high population of people over 65 years of age. Around 15 to 16 million people are there who are above 65 years of age. Then comes another term called Game Zero. It was very popular in the news. This game happened in a nearby stadium of Milan, and it was a Champions League game played between the club of Bergamo and the club of Valencia in Spain. Around 45,000 people attended this game. The game was won by 4-1 from the club of Bergamo. So 4-1 means 4 times at least these people have hugged each other in the joy. When the game got over, the player playing for both the teams, around 40% of them tested positive. All the media personalities who covered this game tested positive. And if you guys remember some of the very troublesome videos coming from the Italy, one of the videos was from the city of Bergamo, where the military trucks were called to take the dead bodies because there were so many deaths. And this is what the Bergamo city mayor called that Came Zero was like a biological bomb which has destroyed our beloved city of Bergamo. So yeah, this was about the Italy pandemic, and thank you all for your kind attention. I try to cover as much as I can. So yeah, I'm open for this questions.
Thank you, Anurag, for your exemplary explanation about the corona COVID-19 with the pathogenicity as well as development of Remdesivir, along with covering vaccine development. Despite all technical glitches, by keeping the patients in intact, we could able to make out to a certain level of satisfaction. Now, I request participants if we can have a few questions so that your doubts and difficulties can be cleared from Mr. Anurag Srivastav. Please, you can make one by one, unmuting your mic system, and then you can have clarity with. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
Hi Anurag, this is Rakesh here. Can you hear me?
yeah, yeah, I can hear.
Yeah, actually, I just wanted to ask, as you said that these type of viruses, it acts on the ACE2 inhibitors, sorry, ACE2 receptors. So, what about other places in the body where AC2 receptors are there? Are they equally means have a equal affinity to those also, or only in nasal cavity?
No, no, no. So with the I didn't included some of the recent findings. So if you look at the mortality and in the mortality, what they have found, since ACE2 receptor is also present in the gastrointestinal tract, and it is also present in the heart.
Yeah.
So what they have
Hmm.
found is there have been some diarrhea is being now reported as one of the symptom of the coronavirus, and people dying. The people are dying with all the diseases being involved. So there have been report of kidney damage in the patients. There have been reports of the spleen being impacted. There have been report of the heart being impacted because in at least 10 or 15% of the cases in US, what they found was there was a big artery blockage kind of a thing, and they thought that it is an artery blockage, but when they did the scanning, they didn't find any kind of blockage. It was because of the coronavirus and the immune system attacking that. So
Mhm.
it's already there. It's already there.
Okay, and what about hypertension patients? Of course, AC receptors are involved there, but is there any other reason? Because they are more susceptible also.
Yeah, so any person who has some comorbidity or some kind of already pre-existing disease, what is the reason that they are being at very high risk
Hello?
is because yeah, hello, can you hear me? Hello.
Is
Mhm.
Dr. Rakesh, is your voice audible?
Yeah, it is audible now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the patients having some kind of previous elements, their immune system is already very weak.
Yep.
And when this coronavirus attacks them, whether be it diabetes or be it hypertension, uh, the virus will not be eliminated quickly, and whatever immune system is left, it will try to fight it out. One of the studies showed that the patient trying to take out this virus, they are fighting so much that in that case the immune system is already losing a lot of energy. And as you all know, maintaining a good immune system needs a good amount of energy, that is ATP, and it is a very expensive process. So in order to maintain all these things, it is like way too expensive. And once it is able to eliminate the virus, it is not able to take even slightest infection which can comes, because your immune system has already almost collapsed in fighting it out. Like another thing which is being said with this disease, since this coronavirus can bind to other ACE2 receptor in the organ, so what it does, like let's say first is in the respiratory. Earlier it was thought that it is a pure respiratory disorder, but now it is being very clear that it is not a respiratory disorder, but a more like an immune disorder. Because once it is in the lung, immune system start attacking it leaves the lung and it moves to another body organ, and it will go to the organ which is weak. Like let's say if someone has a kidney problem, it will go to the kidney, ACE2 receptor binds there, and then you have your body attacking your kidney, because it is like a uncontrolled soldier who just want to kill the enemy without even thinking that it can, in that way it may even kill itself. So that's the problem with all the kind of
And
yeah.
and what about the relapsing thing? I mean, like in China, again, it is a relapsing.
No,
So what
no.
was
So,
it?
so the relapse which has been reported in like some of the patient which has tested positive even after being recovered. So it came from South Korea. The results, the report came from South Korea, but South Korea later clarified with the scientific communication that these relapses were not virulent. These were just the remaining. These were not actually a relapse, but these were like, even when your body has cleared out all the coronavirus from your body, it has eliminated all the coronavirus, there will be some residual RNAs which tested positive. And it has been known in medical community that any disease which once you get infected to, even after you clear it out, there could be some residual. And since we are using the RT-PCR, which is a very, very sensitive technique, it detects even a residual RNA.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Anurag. Thank you.
So that is the thing. Till now, scientific studies have not pointed out of a relapse. And understanding the basic immunology concept, I would be highly surprised if the relapse happens in just a short duration, because in order to get reinfected with the same virus, the virus has to mutate. And till now, the mutation has not been reported that much.
Hello.
Okay.
Sir, am I audible to you, sir?
Yeah.
Sir, this is Dr. S.M. Biradar speaking.
Yes, sir.
Sir, I hope you have updated with the lockdown system in India, because you are in India and it's proud to have a listen you on international webinar from one Indian persons to all Indians. It's we are very thankful to you. My question is, what is your personal progresses of COVID-19 in India? Because in Indian system now it is fourth time it is implemented this lockdown. Means lockdown fourth has started now with all relaxation, and this is the time where peak doubling or multiplication of the COVID is getting multiplied all over the Indian territory, because you see the daily reports of positive reports. It's under thousands together we are getting, and this time we are making all the relaxation with the fourth lockdown. What is your prognosis of this disease in COVID-19 in India?
Okay, so okay, if I would see it from the outside perspective, and like a normal person, I would be highly concerned. Oh my god, the cases are around 4,000, 5,000. What are we doing? We are doing something wrong or something like that.
Yes, sir.
But if I try to look at from a scientific perspective, I know it is a little bit worrisome situation, but the cases are rising just because the number of tests have increased exponentially. Now we are doing almost 1 lakh patients are being tested daily.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
when you talk about in a scientific way, you talk about the doubling time. That doubling time is at all-time low, and the recovery rate is at all-time high.
Mhm.
So it's a good result, but yeah, since the thing, the point is, we have already achieved a lot with the lockdown, which what was required. Now the
Mhm.
thing is, you also need to take care of the economy. The major problem which I think India is gonna face is the labor issue. The people who are traveling from one place to another place, walking or whatever kind of it's a mass exodus. This is gonna cause a problem because these people are gonna be jobless. They are not gonna have money with them. So how government is going to help them out, that is major important than about this. I think coronavirus will subside in some time because some scientists are saying that the peak has not yet reached. Some are saying that the peak has already reached. So you cannot be sure because Italy was in lockdown for more than 70 days.
Okay.
It was in very strict lockdown, and we are still the lockdown has been lifted. The relaxation has been provided, but still, if I need to travel, I need to have a proper permission. And I would say that even the lockdown and everything has been lifted, I'm not allowed to go and meet any of my friend in their house. It is inhibited. Even if you are gonna meet your family members, you have to follow the social distancing norm. I think from
Yes.
3rd June they are gonna allow all these things. So we are waiting.
So now its individual responsibility has increased to take care of ourselves rather than getting the instruction from government or central government or.
Exactly. So I would tell you my case when the Italy was the worst hit and our lab got closed and I had to work from the home. So we used to have our lab meeting on the Google on WebEx and other places. My professor would always say, and even the communication which we received from university, it was a very straightforward instruction. Assume that you are already a COVID positive. So
Oh,
behave like that. Because the thing is, COVID positive people don't show the symptom for a long time. So you are not sure whether you are positive or you are not. So I used to take all the precaution and I used to avoid going out to buy the groceries. The good thing in Italy, like you must have watched the news that there was panic buying. In Italy, there was no panic buying. Whenever I went to the shop, I was able to get everything I wanted. So that was a good thing. And then I changed my buying habit. Earlier I used to buy on a regular basis. Now I changed my buying habit to make sure that I go and get my stuff once once I go and get the stuff for almost 2 weeks. So you have to
okay.
change a little bit in your habit. Try avoid going out without mask, without any kind of face covering. So that was what I did. So that's how everyone has to do. One of the issue I have with the government of India, they have not yet accepted that community transmission has already happened. They should accept this fact because community transmission in any of the places was never the matter of if, it was always the matter of when. So you have to convey to the people that community transmission has already happened. And since in Italy, as we know, that the first patient was not the first patient but could be 200 or 400, so we already knew that the the patient this thing the community transmission already started here. It started with the community transmission because I remember in the last week of February on Thursday it was just 5 or 7 cases. Saturday Sunday I heard that the number of cases has gone to 1,000. So it was very clear that community transmission has happened, so we have to accept it and we have to behave in that way.
Okay, okay. Sir, with your
Hello,
permission,
sir.
hello, hello.
Yeah, please,
Sir,
sir, please.
sir, with your permission, I would like to ask one more regarding the prophylaxis use of this hydroxychloroquine in COVID-19. In your slide, one of your
Please
slide, you
restrict
were
to small questions.
yeah, small
Yeah,
questions only, sir.
and let Adan also ask if other people
Yeah,
have questions, so
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
we can.
Yes, sir. This regarding this
Thank you for asking.
regarding. Okay, okay, okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Any other questions?
Sir,
some
Yeah.
during this pandemic, we heard about lot of clinical trials and preclinical trials undergoing. But these all not able to succeed to prepare a vaccine. Then plasma therapy is the only things to end this pandemic, or any other drugs will be developed.
Okay, so let me clarify certain points here. Okay, first of all, uh, re- uh, remember this thing that that disease. This is gonna be a little bit of controversial statement which I'm gonna make now. Coronavirus is being made like the biggest kind of a deadly disease or something like that, that it is gonna wipe all the humankind. It's not like that. It's not as deadly as it has been projected to be. Why we are being so concerned? Because we have elder people living nearby, so we want to protect them first. So that's the rule number one. The second thing, you are talking about, if the vaccine is not developed, we have to see all the things are in the clinical trial, and we need to wait for it, that whether the vaccine gets done or not. All are hopeful that it will be done. Coming to the plasma therapy, there is a big misconception about the plasma therapy, that you are seeing that result is good. Oh yeah, plasma therapy is giving the result. It's a very old concept of using it. But the problem with the plasma therapy is you would never have done any kind of clinical trial with this randomized clinical trial, where the patient, where you have two set of patients. In one set of patient you are administering the plasma obtained from antibodies obtained from the recovered patient, and other you are just giving a dummy thing, and then compare whether these two results have any statistical significance. It could be a false positive, just like what we see in the case of hydroxychloroquine. When they started enrolling patient and giving the drugs of hydroxychloroquine, and also giving the patient no drug, they saw that okay, the results is very different. So that's the second point. And the third point, where like what you are saying is impossible. Plasma therapy can never be a solution to end the pandemic, because plasma therapy has the biggest challenge of scaling up. 1% plasma can be maximum transferred to 2 or 3 people, not more than that. And how many patients you are going to find? Like there are more than 4.9 million people globally. So how you are going to do that? It's going to be a big problem. And to come back to my first point, which was the disease made to be a big disease than it is. I will quote a study from New York. Even though ELISA-based testing ELISA-based testing is not that good, but in New York, a study was done based on the antibody testing for the patient who have already recovered or have produced antibodies against the COVID. So this test was done at a time when the number of cases tested positive by RT-PCR was around 300,000 in New York, and they found around 21% of patients being positive in the antibody testing. That takes it to something like the population of New York is around 83 million. And if I take the error of 5%, at least it is going to 10 million, at least 10 million. 10 million. So in 300,000, if I say that 20,000 people have died, you will say, oh my God, this is a deadly disease. But if I say in 10 million, 20,000 people have died, you'll say, oh, it's okay, it's not that bad. So we need to understand that way. And we are talking about, and the problem with the news media is they speak a lot on how many cases have been reported, how many deaths have been reported. But do they give you the real picture? The real picture is around 80% of people have recovered without going to the hospital. So that's a big number that we are not talking about. So this disease will automatically, either we will, the final stage of this disease treatment is going to be a herd immunity. And if you see, like in Sweden, they have almost kind of achieved that. It was predicted that Sweden will face the worst kind of destruction, but the number of deaths in Sweden is around just 2,500, which is pretty low compared to what UK is experiencing. So we need to understand how it goes, and it's a developing science. And you cannot expect the results to be in a quick moment of time. We all are from the science background. We know that 95% of our experiment always fails. So yeah, so that's what we have to understand. Any other question?
I think we must limit our questions. We can get questions from mail and then forward you for clarification from you. But however, I wanted to take one liberty to ask you.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, my I don't know whether it is a stupidity or if we know from biochemistry point of view, especially in
Yeah.
human body, I mean, mRNAs are very short-lived. Their half-life is very short because they will be attacked by RNAs. Now, once this virus is penetrated into cells after S1, S2, protease, proteolysis, everything it happens. The viral RNA, when it is coming into cytoplasm, why human RNases can't act and degrade the viral RNA?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question. I would tell you that when I was explaining the structure of the SARS-CoV-2, I told you that there is a S protein, M protein, E protein, that is spike, membrane, and envelope protein. There
Envelope
is
protein.
something called N protein. There is something called N protein, which is a nucleocapsid protein.
Okay.
So this protein is like a protection to the RNA.
Okay.
So the nature, yeah, so it protect the RNA that it should not get attacked.
Okay.
That's the, like, this is the basic thing, that RNAs is everywhere. Like
Yes.
when I do the RNA extraction, the one of the thing which I have to make sure that I should not even sweat, because in sweat also we have RNAs which can
Okay.
destroy our sample in the RNA extraction. But
Okay.
here the thing is, when RNA is completely protected, so it's something like this, that it's like a box, and in the box there is a RNA. So RNA
Okay.
is where it will act. So
Yeah.
it has a protection. It has a
Yeah. Yes.
protection.
Yes. 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 I think we should move on. Dr. Kotnal, are you online?
Yes, sir. Very much online.
Yeah. Can you
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
some concluding remarks?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are
Thank you.
very much. Yes, sir. We are very much thank you and thankful to Anurag in spite of so much glitches, we could able to start our session. We are very much sorry. And I also apologize our all participant very calmly. They are listening to us. And we are missed out around 700 plus registered participant. We hope in a near future we may once again come to one same platform with an improved version of our talk and discussion. At the outset, I thank you, Anurag sir, for coming with us and discussing so much informative talk. And you covered all aspects which all of us are waiting in India. And you have cleared so many myths about corona at a global level. I also thank our Professor Ravindra Kulkarni, who is very much instrumental in introducing us, Mr. Anurag.
However, I missed it. That opportunity, my signals got disconnected.
Yes, from the College of Pharmacy and our all BLD organization, I extend hearty thank you to Ravindra as well as Anurag. And we request once again, Anurag, we come back once again on this same platform, talking about more about this COVID and other infectious diseases. Thank you, all participants. We once again apologize that we missed out around 700 plus participants.
More than their presence, their patience should be apologized and appreciated.
Yeah, appreciated. Yeah, because we faced a lot of technical glitches, and this is the first time I'm using this platform. But I'm sure next time, now we know that in order to invite people, we just have to send the email, and that could be done in advance. And not a problem. And from next time, we will take care of these things. And I'm more than humbled that you invited me for this lecture, and I would be glad to be connected with you and help students on taking these kind of lectures also. And also I would since the introduction was missed, so I would just give a little bit about tell me about myself. I currently I'm working on the my PhD, and my topic is immunotherapy of pancreatic cancer. So I can also speak about sometime on pancreatic cancer and how the immunotherapy is a new hope for cancer treatment. As well as in my free time, I guide students for international applications. So yeah, that is also I did. I remember with Ravindra sir, he organized a session for that also. So yeah, I can also help student, and I'm always glad to interact with the students and guide them as much as I can. So yeah, I once again thanks everyone, all the participant, and above all, I apologize on behalf of everyone because of the technical glitches. We were supposed to start at 1 o'clock. We started at around 2:15, and I must appreciate everyone was so patient that it was something I could never imagine. And I'm thankful that even I was able to finish it up. I didn't went into frustration mode, even so much of technical glitches. But yeah, thanks to Ravindra sir for introducing me to such a nice fraternity, because I never ever expected, even in my dream, that there will be more than 700 participants. That's like insane. That is insane. That I cannot imagine. Like in the morning, I had another session at Kannur University, and there were around 300 participants, and they had around registration around 400. And here we have a registration of more than 700, and this is crazy.
Yes, sir. We stopped it in between. In fact, we stopped the registration at around 2 hours before the session start, and the people are still asking me send the link through WhatsApp and other mails. I assured them that we'll once again come back with the same this one, and once again we call you, sir. Once again we meet.
Sure. I would be glad. I would be glad to interact with the student. And now, since we have already tested this new platform, I think next time it won't be a problem.
Not
next
problem,
time it will be better.
Yes, sir. We'll come out with new solutions. We have
Yeah.
IT solutions with
Yeah, yeah.
now with me, and
Yeah.
they will give another solution
Yeah.
which is hassle free. So
Yeah.
thank you very much, Anurag sir, and
Thank you, sir.
Srini, and there are participants. Okay, thank you very much. Now we
Thank
can
you,
sign
sir.
off from
Bye. And
this.
yeah,
Yes,
I
sir.
as many people are asking, I will send my presentation to Ravin sir and principal sir, so that
Yes,
you
sir.
can circulate the presentation among the students.
Yes, sir. Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Bye, sir.
Bye.
Bye, bye,
Bye.
bye, bye, bye.
Stop recording.